Finding a gift for someone can be extremely challenging. You want to find something special and unique, but it also takes time to go shopping and pick something out, and a lot of people are hard to shop for. But recently I was gifted a coffee subscription as a gift, and it has been my favorite gift so far. But I'm a huge coffee lover, and not all coffee subscriptions are the same. Everyone's coffee preferences are a lot different, and everyone's tastes are different. So finding the right subscription to fit someone's lifestyle can be a little challenging because there are so many out there on the market right now. But when it comes to finding the right one for someone, there are some factors involved that you have to think about. Like, what kind of coffee maker do they use at home? What kind of coffee do they like? Do they like bold coffee? Do they like light roasted coffee? Do they drink coffee every day? What kind of coffee maker do they have at home? Do they have a French press, a pour over, a drip? It's hard to know these things when you're gifting it for someone. Also, do you want something that comes in a box that they get to open, or do you want something just shipped to their house? It can even come down to the details of, do they want it whole bean or do they want it ground? Because that can make a huge difference. Some people don't have coffee grinders at home, they just like to throw it in their machine and go. Particularly if you're using a coffee subscription as a gift, you want to think about how often they want to receive it. Like, how much coffee do they drink? Do they want it every week? Do they want it every 2 weeks? That's something to think about. I'm going to get into some of the different types of coffee subscriptions out there, just so you can figure out which one will fit best for someone in your life. Atlas is one coffee subscription service you could go with, and it's super unique. They're all single origin coffees. It gives you a little quiz online, and it asks you if you want whole bean or ground coffee. They even have options for Keurig or Nespresso, which is really unique. It also asks how you brew your coffee at home, and you get to pick your roast level between light, medium, and dark. You can also pick how many bags you get per subscription, so you can either get 2 bags, 1 bag, or a half a bag, and how often you receive those orders. So it could be between 2 weeks or 4 weeks. The other thing that's really unique about Atlas, like I said, they're all single origin based, and with that, they come from all over the world. And they'll send you a little postcard with your order telling about the origin of the coffee, where it's from, tasting notes. So if you know someone who's very into coffee and very interested in how coffee is sourced, this is a great option. One of the other options out there is Blue Bottle. Blue Bottle is pretty prestigious in the coffee world. They have a very clean aesthetic and very, very specialized roast technique. They offer subscriptions through their website, but the thing about this is Blue Bottle itself is a roasting company. So really, you're getting Blue Bottle coffee only. You're not getting a whole lot of options. You get to choose between light, medium, and dark, but other than that, you're just getting Blue Bottle coffee. Through their website, when you pick a subscription plan, they also give you a little quiz, but it is a little more limited than Atlas. So it starts off by asking you what kind of flavor profile you like, which is pretty unique. So you can go for like fruity and crisp, or like bold and chocolatey, and then it'll ask you how you brew your coffee at home. Once you narrow down the kind of coffee you want, they give you some options to choose from, but they're pretty limited. So say I went through and I picked espresso. I was really only left with 3 options to choose from, which isn't bad. They're great coffee, but if someone wants a little more options, then it's going to be a little harder to find with Blue Bottle. And through their subscription plan, it gives you the option to receive 2 bags or 3 bags in each subscription. It also gives you the option for delivery every 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. So if you're going to go with Blue Bottle, I would say make sure this person really likes Blue Bottle, because other than that, their choices are very limited. But if you know someone who really, really likes Blue Bottle's coffee, this is a great option. Another good option for coffee subscriptions is Driftaway. Driftaway is super user-friendly and very basic, in a good way. So Driftaway, when you sign up for a subscription, it lets you choose between light roast, medium roast, dark roast, or all of their roasts. One unique thing about Driftaway is they offer a sample kit subscription, so you only get a tasting kit as opposed to a full bag of coffee. You can also get a full bag of coffee as a subscription, but if you don't know if someone's going to enjoy Driftaway right away, then having a sample kit or a tasting kit is a really, really good option. They'll also give you the option of how you would like your coffee, whether whole bean or ground for whichever machine you use at home. One other unique thing that I haven't seen with other coffee subscription services is how you can buy the coffee by weight. Normally you get a traditional standard 12-ounce bag of coffee, but with Driftaway, you can get anywhere from an 8-ounce bag of coffee to a 4-pound bag of coffee. So what's nice about this is it cuts out the delivery time. So say if you give someone a Driftaway subscription and they really like their light roast coffee, instead of having to wait for a delivery every 2 or 3 weeks, they can buy a 4-pound bag of coffee and that will last them a while. Another option for coffee subscriptions is Cometeer. And Cometeer is so interesting and unique. So Cometeer's subscription service offers flash frozen coffee capsules. So you're not getting a bag of coffee. So you're getting a small concentrated capsule of coffee so that you could either pour hot water over for hot coffee or cold water over for iced coffee. So it's a little more versatile. So it saves you a lot of time in the morning when you're in a hurry, you're trying to make coffee. You don't have to wait for your coffee pot to heat up and brew. You can just grab it, pour water on it, and go. With all that being said, their subscription services is a little different. So instead of going through and taking a quiz and picking, you really just pick if you want a light, medium, or dark roast, and then how often you'd like to receive that. And one negative, their subscription service is a little different, and it's pretty limited on how often you can get it. Each subscription comes with 40 capsules of coffee, and it comes every 4 weeks. So it really depends on how often someone's drinking coffee and how quick they'll go through that. Another thing is these have to be kept frozen. So instead of having a bag of coffee you keep on the counter next to your coffee pot, these have to go in the freezer. So you gotta make sure you have room in your freezer to store these. Another option is trade coffee. Trade coffee is a little similar to Driftaway, and it's super user-friendly. You take a little quiz at the beginning. It asks you the common questions that most of the other subscriptions ask, like what kind of flavor do you like? Do you like something light, medium, or dark? How do you brew it at home? And how often would you like to receive the subscription? The thing that's really unique about Trade is, unlike Blue Bottle, they aren't a single roaster, but they work with over 400 different roasters across the nation. So after you take your quiz, they'll match you with different roasters across the US to help find that perfect bag for you. The great thing about Trade is as you go through the subscription, it can adapt to you. They allow you to rate your order, rate your coffee, give feedback on your orders, and it helps narrow down the process and find something that you really like. It's not very common with the other subscriptions. It's kind of, you get what you get, you try it, you like it, and you move on. With Trade, they want to get your preferences right. And that's really nice, especially if you're giving something as a gift and you don't know what someone will like. They kind of get to pick it for themselves. I was recently given a Trade subscription as a gift. I'm a huge coffee person, so I was super excited about this. When I got sent the quiz to take, the first question stood out to me because it asks you what kind of coffee you like, but in the sense of how adventurous are you? So do you kind of stick to the same coffee you like? Do you like to branch out every once in a while? Or are you looking for something different all the time? For me personally, I do stick to the same coffee most of the time. But because I'm a huge coffee fan, I love learning about coffee. I like to try different ones out there. And especially from different roasters across the US, I get to try coffee in places that I've never been before or I wouldn't try otherwise. The quiz is pretty thorough, and they also ask you how you drink your coffee. So do you drink it black? Do you like it with cream? Do you like it with cream and sugar or sugar only? Which I haven't seen in a lot of other coffee subscriptions. It will also ask you how you like your coffee roasted. So it goes from light, medium, medium, dark, and dark. So personally for me, I'm a more medium to dark coffee. I like those rich chocolatey notes. But it also asks you how you want your coffee to taste, which is a very, very specific question. So it asks you more about the complexity of the coffee flavors you enjoy. So their options are balanced, kind of like a typical smooth, chocolatey coffee. Do you like it more complex? So you're thinking like florals, very light, crispy flavors. So you get more of that fruit flavor as well as some of those bright notes. Once you've taken the quiz, it'll immediately match you with the coffee they think you'll enjoy. And they also have a summary breakdown of why they think that you'll enjoy that. And reading about that really helps to understand, will I like this coffee? Or kind of, after you take the quiz, it'll instantly match you with a coffee and give you a summary of why that coffee was picked for you. Which I love personally because that helps me know that Trade Coffee understands my preferences. And the other good thing about this is once you take the quiz, you get matched with a coffee, you set up your subscription, say you get that coffee that you thought you'd really like and you don't enjoy it, you get to go back and rate your coffee, review it, and based on that, Trade can alter your subscriptions and what they match you with. So you're guaranteed to get something you like. Trade kind of mixes all of the best qualities and other subscriptions that I've seen, where when you're determining the frequency of which you would like your coffee subscription delivered, you get to pick how much coffee you would like. So it either comes in a 10-ounce bag or a 2-pound bag. You can also choose between your subscription having 1 or 2 bags of coffee per subscription, as well as the frequency. And you also get to choose whether you would like your coffee every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. I've been getting my Trade subscription now for a couple weeks. I've received 3 bags, and I've been pretty happy with what I've gotten so far. The first bag I received is PT's Roasting Co. Southpaw Espresso. It is a light to medium blend of Ethiopian and Guatemala. It has the tasting notes of caramel, peach, and sugarcane. And it was roasted on March 30th, 2026. The thing that I really enjoyed about Trade was you get a notification when your coffee is being roasted. So that helps you know how fresh the coffee is that you're getting. Another thing that I really enjoy is, PT's coffee is located in Topeka, Kansas. And I've never been to Topeka, Kansas, and I don't know if I ever will, but the great thing about that is I get to try coffee from there. Another thing that's really interesting to me is when I was taking the quiz, I put my preferences as I would like to explore and try new things. So typically I like a more darker, bold coffee, and this one I received was a light to medium. So I was a little skeptical at first, but I have given this one a try, and it's really good. So there are so many things about this where I would not have received or picked this for myself, but it's something that I've really enjoyed so far. The second bag I received is Cuvée Coffee's Carmadillo Bold Espresso Blend. It has a rich chocolatey tasting note to it, and Cuvée is based in Austin, Texas. I'm in Texas, I'm in Dallas, so I don't get a chance to go down to Austin very much, but there's so many coffee shops in Austin, it's hard to make your way through all of them. So being able to get this delivered to my door without having to drive to Austin and figure out which coffee shop I want to try has been super helpful. And like I mentioned earlier with PT's coffee, it was a light to medium roast, so it's not typically what I would go for, but it was nice to branch out where this one is within the range that I typically go for and that I typically like. So it's nice that you get to try something new that is a little more tailored to yourself, so I knew right away that I would enjoy this one. And this bag of Cuvé's Carmadillo Bold Espresso Blend was roasted on April 13th, 2026. So I also got an email when this was being roasted, and you can tell just based on how the subscription works. So say I get this every 2 to 3 weeks, you can tell such a difference by this being my first one, it being roasted on March 30th, and this one being roasted on April 13th. So each time I get this, it's extremely fresh. The most recent one I have received is Airship's Black Apple Espresso with herbs and spices. And Airship is from Bentonville, Arkansas. Again, I've been to Arkansas, but I've never been to Bentonville. And I've never heard of Airship before. So I would never be able to have this bag of coffee if it wasn't for Trade. This bag of coffee was roasted on April 27th of 2026. So again, extremely fresh, and you can definitely tell the order of which I received these by the roast date. This coffee I'm most excited for. I love the packaging and just the black apple espresso. I've never heard of it. That's such a unique flavor. And immediately when I opened this bag of coffee, you could smell the rich apple aroma, and I couldn't wait to try it. This is also, they have a guide on the back of the roast level, It has a medium sweet to bitter taste profile, as well as it's a little more full-bodied and a little more darker roasted. So far, all of these fit in my typical coffee preferences list. And it has tasting notes of orange, red cherry, and dark chocolate. All of these come through just by opening the bag and smelling the beans. So I'm very excited to try this one. So we're gonna go ahead and give this one a try and see how it is. I brew coffee at home in a few different ways. I don't have a fancy espresso machine or anything like that. I don't always like to brew coffee the same way. All of the bags that I received are espresso blends. So when you brew espresso, you brew it extremely concentrated. So when you pour it, say in like a drip coffee maker or a French press, it's not gonna have the same flavor profiles as if you did it in an espresso machine. And like I said, I don't have an espresso machine at home, but I do have a Moka Pot. And this Moka Pot really helps to get all of those notes that come in an espresso blend, but a lot easier and quicker. So with the Moka Pot, water goes into the bottom right here and you boil it over the stovetop. So the water comes through here. You have a spout on the inside. You put your coffee filter in the middle right here. And as the water boils, it pushes up and sends the coffee through the top, giving you a really, really concentrated amount of coffee. Right, so I added my water up to about here in my Moka Pot, and I have my Airship Black Apple Espresso packed in and ready to go. So I'm gonna put the kettle back on top, and we're gonna put this on the stove and brew it. So right away, when you smell this coffee, you definitely pick up on the citrus and chocolate notes of it. So I'm very interested to see how this tastes once it's brewed. Right, I just got done brewing the Airship Black Apple Espresso in my Moka Pot. So it came out to about 4 ounces. That is a little more than the typical espresso shot. That's about an ounce, but this is a more concentrated version. It's not going to be perfect. I don't have an espresso machine, but it's going to get as close as I can to how an espresso should taste without having that kind of machine. Wow. Right away, you can pick up on the apple taste. I'm super surprised because I didn't really get that immediately from just smelling the coffee, but once it's been brewed, you really get a very nutty aroma. The kind of citrus has disappeared from when it was ground, but it smells delicious. And even though this is a more concentrated version, it's extremely smooth. You don't get any of that bitter taste that sometimes happens when coffee is brewed or extracted at a really high level. Yeah, this is a great cup of coffee. It would be great with milk. It's great by itself. And the best part about this is I would have never tried this coffee if I didn't have a trade subscription. So if you're shopping for someone for a birthday, a graduation, a wedding gift, housewarming, or even just because, I would say that trade is a great option to go with, because you may know they like coffee, but that's about it. And trade can handle the rest. They get the quiz themselves, they take it, they get to pick what they'd like, narrow that down, and you can guarantee that when that coffee shows up to their front door, they're gonna get something unique and special, and it's customized just for them. For me personally, receiving this gift, I'll probably keep the subscription for a while, which is the great part about it. I got to try something new, and I've got to try coffee that I would never have the ability to try. And they're not all perfect to my taste preferences, but that's kind of the fun part about it. I got to try new things, and when I go back and do a review and rate my orders, Trade's gonna customize it and fix that for me. and I always look forward to getting my next Trade order. So if you're looking for a gift for the coffee lover in your life, I would say Trade Coffee is the best subscription to go with. They get to customize it themselves. It shows up to their door, it's something new every single time, and they'll get to try coffee that they wouldn't try otherwise. So it takes the guesswork out for you, and it gives the person you're giving this to a fun, customizable experience. It's not just a bag of coffee. You get to pick it yourself and try new things. If you can't decide the perfect gift for a wedding or a honeymoon, a housewarming, or even a birthday gift for that coffee lover in your life, I would say you can't go wrong with Trade. It takes all the guesswork out, and you're left giving someone a very memorable, fun experience as a gift. So, if you're looking for a great coffee subscription, I highly recommend Trade.